welcome to the bench. Horus, how we doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. We got a great show for you guys today. But before we get started with that, we're going to talk about upcoming events. What do we got?
Punic War, April 5th, down in Carbondale. I definitely thought that was this weekend, and I was all ready to go. And I'm very excited because I have a free weekend to do other stuff now. But I'm still definitely going to go to that.
I will be
I
there
wasn't sure
too.
at first, but now I'm on board. That Olympics is April 24th. I have to remember to message my mom and tell her that she can't come down that weekend. That's okay. We're just planning like a cooking weekend, so I'm really excited. And there's two other weekends that we're also working with, so that's fine. But that means that Olympics, April 24th through
Yes.
the 27th. Why did I think there was something I had over that this weekend? I don't know. That's in Indianapolis. My schedule doesn't matter. Um, and that's always a good time. Great event thrown by Middle March. Can't wait to go to that one.
I will likely be
Beltane
at that too.
down. What?
I will likely be at Olympics too. I don't know if I'm
Hell
going to be there
yeah.
the whole time. I might show up Friday, might just day trip. I don't know, but I'm going to try to make that one.
Awesome. Beltane is down in Tennessee. Always a great event as well. I definitely can't make that this year, but should be a good time. Uh, Long and storied event. And SKBC, the topic of this episode, in Missouri, May 15th through 18th. Someone here might be getting knighted there
It's
in
possible.
Belgarth. It is possible.
Possible. You never know.
I suppose it could not happen too, but probably not.
Hopefully.
Um, Double negative there, that is. But yeah, those are our upcoming events. I'm pretty
Heck
excited.
yeah.
I never really thought about it, but April and May are kind of jam-packed with like big
Pretty stacked.
events.
I think probably because it's getting a lot hotter in the summer now, and
Yeah.
so
This is
like
like the best event season. I feel like even though I love Armageddon, like it is just too hot
it's
in June
sweltering.
in Illinois and
Yep.
Indiana now. It's so hot. Although night fighting, I'm sure will be great because that's like the perfect time to fight in
That's why we go
June.
anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna talk about merch. So I did something for y'all out of for the love. I got rid of commercials. Everybody complained about the commercials. I got rid of them. So I would ask because I am very broke, because I am very unemployed. Um, I would ask that you show me the love. Pick up some bench merch. We've got a new Stein, so you can get your bench Stein. Officially in the description, if I see you drinking and ditching with the bench Stein, I will take your Stein away. Because we don't want drunk people on the ditch field. But we got the Stein, we got the shirt. Um, where I'm gonna bring back bench booties. I don't know if I'm going to go with the original vendor, or I just found out I can do booty shorts through Printify, which is cheaper and easier. So I might just do that. We'll see. I also am testing out. Bring back the booty shorts. I'm also testing out some field pants. They're pajamas, but like I bought a pair. I had a pair of bench, field garb pants made, and they're being sent to me. So I'm gonna give an evaluation on whether or not they're like robust enough to take to the field, and if they are, then we'll have some garb pants with the bench logo on them as well. So let's talk about what we're here to talk about. I would like to introduce my two fabulous guests today. Warlord Sir Michael Hammer of God, Warlord Sir Deathlilly Megatron Sunshine. Welcome to the bench. We had to do a little bit of a shuffle, because we had some guests that were going to be here to talk about SKBC, and then they had some stuff come up. So now we have some new guests here to talk about SKBC. But they're very, very qualified to talk about this. I'm not going to go into that because that's their job when they talk about themselves. But you guys are going to be in for a great show. We're not just talking about SKBC, though. I want to be clear about that. SKBC is a topic of discussion, but we're also going to be talking about basically how to, because not everybody is going to SKBC that's listening today. So we're gonna be talking about how to be a better student, how to train, how to be, and not just like how to train on your own, but like how to be a mentee, a better mentee, how to be a better student, how to like optimize and prioritize, your time at events so that you get your training in, if that makes sense. We've already got a comment. Hi, Mhog from Coda. Also, hi, everyone. Hello, Coda. So let's talk about our agenda, shall we? Who are Deathlilly and Mhog? How to be a better student? Maximizing training at an event? How to pick classes? And let's pick Horus's SKBC classes live. That's going to be so fun. If you are planning on going to SKBC and you have not picked your classes yet, this is your chance. Do it with us, because we're gonna be picking Horus's classes live, and you can jump in the chat room, and these folks will help you out and help you pick classes too. So if you haven't done it, now's the time. So let's start with Mhog. Who are you?
I'm Michael Hammer of God, and I started playing Amp Guard as my first foam fighting sport in December of 1988. So that's kind of a long time ago now. I played for about 10 years in South Texas, and that was when South Texas had all the best fighters, so I got some good, honest training there. Some of those people are still around and fighting and still pretty good. Some of them, like me, are still around and fighting a lot less and not as good. But then I was in Colorado for another about 10 years. And Colorado had a great group of fighters then too, so I got further training. Then I moved to Madison, Wisconsin, and when I was in Madison, there was an Amp Guard group 90 minutes up the road where I would play on Sundays, but that's not enough fighting, especially when I felt like I was pretty good. I wanted to stay pretty good, so I jumped into the local Belagarth group there in Madison, which was Rune, and I was a weekly Rune player, and I was sort of on my own in Madison, which was kind of a dull town for me, so I went to a lot of Belagarth events, and any of you who were playing 10 years ago, I probably saw you. I probably took swings at you across fields. The whole time I was in Madison, which was about 7 or 8 years, I was a very active Belagarth player. I loved Bell, but I will tell you, as a guy in his mid to late 40s then, the wear and tear started to get to me. Like, I can... at that time, I could go to Amp Guard and play all weekend and be okay on Monday. But if I went to Bell and played all weekend, I was okay on Wednesday. And part of me loved it because I do like that sort of rough and tumble aspect. I'm a big guy, so strength mattering is not a bad thing. But old age gets to all of us. Now I'm in Minneapolis, and I play a little Amp Guard, but I don't fight very much anymore. I'm 58, so I guess I'm allowed to slow down a little bit, but I don't know if I'm allowed to or not, but I am. So that's who I am. We'll go a little bit deeper when we start talking about the history of SKBC, because I was there from the beginning, but I think we ought to let Lily say some things.
Well, we're going to take it to chat, see if anybody has any questions for Mhog. And I'll cue us off with a few questions. So first, your name, Michael Hammer of God. How did you come up with that name? Like, where did that come from?
Okay, so the honest answer is, you got to imagine it's the late 80s, early 90s. We're trying to build up a foam fighting park. There is no internet. There's no social media. If I wanted to recruit somebody, the only way I'm going to recruit somebody is by calling their home. I'm not going to call somebody's home, have mom pick up and go, yeah, this is Daggerak the Destroyer. Can I talk to your little son, Timmy? So I went with Michael. That's a nice normal name. If I call and say, this is Michael, can I talk to your son about this LARP thing that he loves so much? Then there's an okay chance I get to talk to them. But I also wanted a very memorable name so that all the assholes in Dallas would know that we were doing some shit in South Texas. Because the Dallas park was a much older Amp Guard park, and we didn't like those guys very much, so we wanted to make an impression on them. So that's why Hammer of God that's nice and memorable. People will stick with that. And then Michael for the phone.
Okay. What? Now in Amp Guard they're called fighting companies. Belgarth they're called units. What unit are you currently in?
So the only unit I've been in for my entire career is called Tiger Clan, but it's worth noting that as that company is just about done, like it's wrapping up. A lot of the most recent generation have graduated, gone on to other companies, or done their own thing. I want to call out the torches, which have literally been my best friends in this game for 30 some years. Like the very first friend I made the first time I left my home park was Arthon. And we've been friends ever since. I've been friends with all of his friends. The torches treat me like I'm one of them. Some of them say I am. Others say I'm only honorary. I don't argue. It is what it is. So I'm sort of in that company if you don't care what you say.
Okay. What would you say your favorite weapon combo is? And has it historically always been that, or has there been some changes?
So the answer is it's board. Mm-hmm. But to your second question, it has varied what kind of board. Like in Amp Guard, I got my Sword Knighthood using a disc-shaped strap in South Texas. I moved to Colorado, and I saw somebody using a disc-shaped punch shield, but a full-size disc-shaped punch shield in Seattle, and I liked it so much that I went to that, and I got my Warlord in Colorado using that. And then I bounced around. I have both of them in my garage and can use them. I probably have more fun with a little like 24 or 26 inch punch shield now, just because it requires a lot of energy. I don't have that much energy anymore, but it's fun. Like just having to do that extra work is entertaining. Mm-hmm. If I have to win a fight, I would probably still go get a big full size. And I don't care very much punch or strap. I tend to use my punch shield very close to the body, and only float it out when I need a block. So I fight the two styles very similarly.
Okay. What's your favorite? Well, first you said you're Knight of the Sword. What all in Amp Guard you can have multiple Knight's belts, for service, fighting, etc. What belts do you have?
So in Amp Guard we have 5 now, and I have all but the most recent one, and that is a personal choice. The game offered it to me, but I feel like knighthood is not only an award, but it also comes with kind of a job. So I don't think I'm the right person to teach people how to use our complex battle game rules, which have changed a lot, when I'm not very good at the most current set. So I took the award for being very good at battle gaming back in the past, but I didn't take the award and office to teach people how to be good at battle gaming today.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Well, thanks for joining us on this stream. Really appreciate it. One more question for you. What is your favorite class to teach at SKBC?
So I like small unit best, but it's very close between that and partners.
Okay.
I'm all about team games, And honestly, that's about all I teach anymore is those two classes. Like I'll sit in and help out with other classes, but I don't take the lead on them. There's value in the instructors being able to actually demo the stuff they're teaching and make sure people believe them, which I can't always do anymore.
Makes sense. Well, really appreciate you joining the stream and joining us for this conversation. Deathlilly, who are you?
Yeah, well, I am, I guess, Sir Deathlilly Megatron Sunshine, super long and bizarre name. I have been playing since like 2012, maybe it was like right into 2013 is about there. I think 2012 is right though. And primarily in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I moved away to Texas, San Antonio, around, so it's probably like 27. I can't think of the date exactly, but I was down there for a while. Now I'm back up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Had a whole family and all that jazz, and we figured we'd move back up here to see those lovely people. And it's been kind of cool. Got to travel all over and hit people and do this thing that I love so much. Didn't do a ton of cross gaming. I did a little here and there. Like the Rune Closer event was the closest one that I had heard of and was prompted to go to while I was in Minnesota for that first stint of my foam fighting kind of time frame. And that was really quite cool. And I had a pretty good time. I've got some stories from that event, which is just good. Stories live on forever. And then I was cross gaming a little bit, mostly like, I want to say like kind of during the pandemic and right after the pandemic in San Antonio with 13 guys down there, Spicy and his crew people, because they were playing at the same park just on the Sunday. So Amcard was playing on Saturday and then they were playing like Sunday. So I could kind of double up for practice, and I was pretty relentless because I was pushing for Warlord, which is one of the fighting titles in Amcard, and I wanted that pretty bad. And I was like, I need more time. I just gotta fight. So it was cool. Those guys were super, super fun. They were very nice to me. I'm broken a lot, so they were very gentle with my poor self.
You got 13
but yeah.
gentle on you. They like you.
Well, and it was Spicy's prompting, if that means anything. He was very straightforward with everybody right away. He's like, hey, this guy is broken. I broke my back, for anyone who's heard those stories. And if they haven't, I broke my L5S1 when I turned 30. And I'm 36 now, so I guess it's been 6 years. Geez. And, with all the being able to grapple and sufficient force rules and stuff, and just getting bowled over by dudes. I'm only like 5'8". I'm not that big. I'm kind of a small guy. Spicy was pretty straightforward. Like, hey, he's broken. You be nice to him. And I was like, oh, well, come on, man. I'm here I can be rough and tumble with you guys. Look at me. And they were all very, very, they were very, very gentle. I did get checked, still here and there with pole arms and stuff. So it wasn't, I did the thing, I swear. But yeah, it was super blast. I got to be all over the country. And when we talk about like SKBC, I obviously don't have the same kind of time frame as Will or Mhog here has, but pretty much after about my first year when I met Michael, because he ended up moving to the area, that's how I met him, and then kind of got introduced to the broader world of foam fighting. We went to, I think, every SKBC from like, I want to say if I started 2012, 2013 to today. And then eventually I got the qualifications that they were looking for at the time to be an instructor, which is like Warlord or Sword Knight. And obviously they're branching out more into the Bell and Dag and having that involved, but different qualifications there, but which is fine because it's different fighting titles, I guess, or you guys have your own super cool stuff. And I really, really like it. But then I've been an instructor for a little while now, which has been super cool, fun to give back. And I love talking about this. So I can keep rambling. I totally can, but I'm a dude who hits people with foam, and I'm okay at it sometimes.
Let's take it to chat, see if we have any questions for Deathlilly. I'll kick us off as usual. So, Deathlilly Megatron Sunshine, where's that come from?
So I was the new player who showed up to park and unfortunately didn't make a name for myself yet. I didn't really have one that I wanted. I'm like, I don't know, this thing's goofy. Who knows if I'm ever going to stick around? And sure enough, I became obsessed, and I started doing it relentlessly. And so I made the mistake on like day 2. I want to say something like that, very early on. Maybe that's week 2, I guess, to be correct. But where I showed up in yellow, just a bright, terribly made yellow tabard with a little piece of rope that I tied around my tabard in like blue jeans and like a sweatshirt, because I think it was like Easter or something like that. It was around that time frame.
Hell yeah.
And one of the players, I don't think they play anymore. I can't even remember their name, so I assume they don't play anymore because the local area. They were trying to decide on whether or not I should be called Lily or Sunshine. And the park then collectively decided we should just call him Lily Sunshine. And I want to be popular, right? So I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm definitely going to be Lily Sunshine for forever. And who knew that I'd become sort of accomplished in Amp-Guard. So that goofy name is kind of stuck with me. The other parts got added from other stories. Megatron is the Rogue's Terminus. If anyone's familiar with that fellow. Terminus is a cool dude in a fighting company, a unit called the Rogues, and out in the wetlands specifically, I'm pretty sure is where he was playing at the time. I don't know if he's still there now, but Kingdom in the South in Texas. And he at Keep, I want to say like Keep on the Borderlands, the Amp-Guard event, and it was like Missouri. Michael can correct me on this one. That Wolf Creek Park. He's killing people and he's yelling his name. He's yelling Terminus at the top of his lungs over and over again. And we're just, me and my sparring partner, getting beat up by this guy. And through all the social stuff that is foam fighting, he decides that our names are not cool enough between me and my sparring partner, that we needed better ones that we could yell if we got kills. And so he decided that Megatron was much cooler, and my soft-spoken sparring partner should be Starscream.
Oh, beautiful.
And at that time, I mean, that's pretty early into my Amp-Guard career. I'm like, I'm getting better, but I'm not super good yet. So this very established fighter at the time, and maybe he's still pretty established now. I haven't seen him in a long time, but you know, he's putting it to people. He's putting it to us, and we finally get a kill, and we just scream Megatron as loud as we can. You know, I have screamed it in his ear, and then eventually my sparring partner got one and yelled Starscream. But it was really quite cool. So that just kind of stuck. I thought that was really neat, and I'm like, okay, cool. Why not? Like, my name's already ridiculous. Let's just add that in the middle. I'm not going to replace my name, but I'll add it. And then finally, when I was a petitioner to be in the fighting company or the unit that I'm in now, they would make jokes about the requirement being your name had to start with a D or an A name. That is totally not enforced and totally not true. But again, I want to be popular, so like, why not? I'll just say sure. So then they kind of farmed this out until my friend in that company, Dizzy, decided Death was a good idea. And I was like, yeah, we'll just stick it on the front. I'll be Deathlilly Megatron Sunshine. And I ended up with this absolutely ridiculous name that people just mostly call me Jay at this point. And I'm like, okay, that's good. Perfect. It's sold. But I do sign when I have to sign waivers and sign in and do that. It is absolutely every single part of this name, which I know irritates some people. They've asked me to not do it because it takes up too much space, and I'm like, never. I will never stop. It's my whole name. So that's my name.
So you're a warlord at Amp-Guard. What knighthoods in Amp-Guard do you have?
I have 4 of the 5 knighthoods right now. I am missing the Serpent, which is the arts and science related property. For anyone who knows, that's competitions involving making garb, tunics, whatever, cooking, singing, the whole plethora of sweet arts and sciences that you can get yourself involved in. And that one will be my biggest struggle for sure. I can be sort of artsy, but not necessarily that artsy. And it's tough out there. The artists nowadays are really good. So we'll see. But so I've got Sword, which is for fighting, goes along with the Warlord. Flame, which is for like generally service. In this case, I'm a Smith Knight, which is for running battle games and making sure that part is really good, teaching and just being involved in the community in that capacity, which I really like, versus like handling running events. I've done events, but in this case, it was for that specifically, which is cool. And then Crown is service to our kingdom, essentially being a king of the kingdom and making sure that things kind of run in that capacity, which is different. So those are fun. I just got the Flame and Crown like 5 months ago at Keep.
Congrats.
So
man. That's awesome.
it was really exciting, and I'll figure out that last one. I'll do it.
You mentioned being in a fighting company. Why don't you talk just briefly about that? Like they already know what torches are because we've had torches on already, but you can.
Yeah. So I was originally in the Tiger Clan company with Mhog. When I was a young and new player and everything, he had expressed that it basically wasn't around anymore. You know, it's had its iterations and such. And he had asked me and a few other people if we wanted to give that a go again, kind of early into my career. And so I was like, yeah, sure, man, that sounds like a great idea. Let's totally do it. And that ended up being really a lot of fun and a super good time for a long time. But once I moved to Texas, it was kind of like the next step in my personal like journey and the goals I was looking for. And Mhog has always expressed that I will get the assistance I need in whatever kind of goals I'm setting for myself and like whatever capacity that is. And so like with the blessing of Mhog from on high, he was cool with me joining, essentially, like he said, his second company, whether it's really a thing or not. And those guys then were and have been and still are a fantastic influence on my personal goals and the fighting form that is this foam fighting game that we do. So those guys are super cool, and I'm a big fan. I got like 30 big brothers to be mean to me. So
so what's your favorite weapon combo?
You know, you wouldn't think it was sword and board, considering I never get to teach that at SKBC, but typically hint, that's got its own stories there. I'm not teaching a sword and shield class, so you know, hey, I do like sword and shield. It's the thing that the way I was taught by these guys was essentially here's a skill set, learn that skill set, and then master that skill set. And as I just have field time and continue to get better, everything that I'm doing will get better. And that's kind of contrary to the belief of like, if you master single sword, you'll be a master of all these styles. You'll be a master of single and flow and board. And I'm not here to have hot takes on that concept. All those guys kind of suck at board. Not saying anybody specifically, but comparatively, they're stellar single, stellar flow. But then when they pick up a shield, something seems to be a disconnect. And I did the opposite. And I basically learned sword and shield relentlessly for so long that I'm like, okay, cool. I don't really practice the other skills, but I seem to still understand how to move and do things. And I've been trying to put time into the other skill sets. But I love board. I think it's cool, pretty much in all its capacities. In a similar sense to Mhog here, I started with I had like a tower shield. You know, I'm a newbie with one that goes from like my chin to the ground. I'm like, haha, unhittable. I still got hit. I had no idea what to myself. Switched up punch for a while. That was like what Mhog was using. And we were right in that developmental stage of being like, oh, this is the best guy we know at this. This is what he's using. So this is what we're using. Got some time in on that. And then eventually, as I found other teachers and was traveling and learning, they expressed that I should try strap shields, learn that. So I put in most time on a dome shield kind of center strap, and that's kind of like my favorite there. However, I do down spear a lot these days and shoot a bow. I'm that guy. When I was cross gaming, because of the injuries and stuff, I definitely went out to shoot a bow and got made fun of a lot by the fighters who didn't like getting shot. So that's super cool to be hazed by people. I got called a cran eater, so I thought that was pretty excellent because I was shooting people with arrows. I was like, heck yeah, dude, I'll eat crayons, let's go. And just shooting everybody with arrows and feeling like a stud because, you know, yay archery. And if I have to cross game, I'm just shooting people now. It's worth it. It's so many dividends on shooting people. But so long story short, sword and shield is my primary thing, and that's what I'm probably best at and what I'll be seen most doing. But there's definitely videos floating around of the down spear, and I like that skill set, and I think it's super cool. Really unique. Not a lot of people use it, especially between the two games. More in Amtgard, I guess, than Bell and Dag, but pros and cons, I'm sure, to every style.
We've got a lot of downstick in the Midwest. Like it's everywhere around here. But, you know, we've got big head around here, and, you know, so that...
Down stick, not really down spear.
Yeah.
No, we in amp guard wise, we got a lot of down spear
Oh, okay,
around here.
okay.
Yeah, you don't really find down spear too much in Belgarth, but
And Bell, no.
Yeah. I saw like Brett Skinner, him go cross game, and there's some videos of him using like a down spear in Bell and Dag, and I thought that was
really
pretty cool.
good.
Yeah.
Just nobody really does it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about being a better student. We've talked about how to teach. We've talked about how to learn. This class in particular, we're going to talk about how someone can be a better student, and that's why we have some great teachers on with us today, so that so that they can say, if you're one of my students, I want you to do this. I want you to be like this. I want you to think like this. That kind of stuff. So we're going to start with Mhog. Take it away if you'd like. What are your thoughts on this? How can somebody be a better student?
So, I think it's pretty important that you go in with an open mind. I don't want to say you shouldn't go in with some goals for what you want to learn. I think that's important. But if you just go in with that, you're going to be in trouble if the course material doesn't cover that. And even within something specific, if we're going to talk sword and board, and you decide to take a sword and board class from somebody who's 5'8", they're not going to teach you stuff that's applicable for a guy who's 6 foot tall very well. Like, they might do okay, but it's going to be harder for them just by nature. So you're always going to have stuff that you may not be able to get, and that'll be part of choosing your classes that we'll talk about later. But the open mind matters a lot. And I find, even as somebody who's been to SKBC, I missed 1.5 so far. So no, 2 now. After Vegas, I missed 2.5. So I've missed very few of them. But almost always, if I sit in a class, there's something I can take away from it. Mm-hmm. And it's more than just being open-minded. It's thinking about each thing that they teach you and go, okay, how does that match what I do? How can I do something with that? And that's more true for veterans than brand new players. Brand new players can, take something from every class and go experiment with it. But especially as you've gotten older and gotten into it, you want to think, okay, this person would not be teaching me something if I didn't think they had something to teach. So I'm going to listen to them and try to figure out how to use the best things that they're saying for myself.
Makes sense. Deathlilly, thoughts on that, or your own experiences on how somebody can be a better student?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting points. I guess now that I've gotten into the position of being like an instructor for this, I kind of lead everything off with, look, this is kind of my opinion on how to do this, and if it works for you, that's going to be super cool, and if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. There's so much that everybody can kind of give you to learn, and so being open-minded, right, makes a ton of sense. Try to identify, like, okay, that's an interesting skill that this person has just kind of told me. Maybe I'll go try it, and give it an honest try. If it doesn't work right away, it shouldn't necessarily. Like, if it was a silver bullet perfect answer, we'd all be incredible instantly. It takes time, and everybody learns at different speeds. And I have had to be fairly patient because I'm impatient, but had forced patience and having to go, okay, it's going to take me weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, months of practice to learn this skill, to start to understand the skill, and then continue to beat my head against this until I finally have started to get a real good grasp of it. And so don't give up too early, really give it the old try. And let's say in 3 months, you really just, you've reached out, you've tried to get more input, you've asked other people for input, you've done everything you can to try to learn this new shot or the footwork for something, and it's just really not clicking. Maybe that's not quite right for you. Maybe there's a different way to do it, and somebody else might come along and explain a very similar thing, and it just clicks better. And you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I backspin by stepping my, right leg behind my left leg, and I spin better, or whatever the case is in an example. So yeah, open-minded, ask lots of questions, and my goodness, your cup is too full so often. Please just no cup. Like, but this guy said that. That's great. This is a different perspective. Not everything works the same. So just it's good. It's okay. It's okay. I hope it works for you, and please just try it. And being a good student, I guess, is just trying to listen to the input from people, and if it works for you, then excellent. Nothing makes me happier to see somebody be like, "It totally worked," and I was like, "Yeah, cool."
When they kill you in the ditch later on that night using the thing that you showed them how to do is the best feeling in the world.
I'm not saying. I totally am saying. I had my down spear class a few years ago. I was probably like 4 SKBCs ago, where I was showing people kind of in the bonus time, because we had a little passing time, how to throw like a backspin with it. Or I guess it's like it's a backspin, but down spear in your left hand to kill lefties on their board side. And I basically challenged everybody in the class. I'm like, look, if you do this and you kill a lefty with the spin, cheer loudly. I will hear it. I will, wherever I am, and I will know, and I will applaud you, and I will cheer for you, and it will be excellent. And one of the students absolutely did it, starts screaming their head off in the ditch. None of the other instructors know that this is going to happen, and I was putting them into the position to go do this. So Glenn and Raph both got spun on, I'm pretty sure by the same student, and he's losing his mind, and I'm just losing my mind from, I don't know, 100 yards away, because I just hear somebody just doing this with the down spear and screaming. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And they came and told me about it later, and like, that was excellent. Now, will that work every time? Probably not, but and the encouragement part is super, super good. So anyways, being a good student, how to be a better student, I'll give one more thought on it, and then I'll concede. But note taking can be very useful if you know yourself well. Make sure that you're in a capacity to do that. Most of the instructors, or most of the people you ask, it doesn't have to just be SKB specifically, but if you want to videotape the data, because boy, my memory sucks. Like, most people are pretty good with it, and just make sure you ask. Like, not everybody wants to be on camera and what have you, but data collection is important. And I find that if you can't, let's say, take notes, like you just don't have the ability to, and they're not really into video, or you just don't have the ability to, whatever you were just taught, go teach it to your friend who's not sitting there listening to it with you. And now you have taken the information you've gained, tried to, bring that to them, and now you guys kind of can help each other, and that'll be a good thing for. This is probably more like maximizing training at an event, but it's been fantastic for me forever. Is every piece of information I got, I just tried to tell everybody. I'm like, oh, I just learned this thing. Let me tell you, and it's okay. The one fear that people have expressed, and that I had expressed originally that I don't agree with now, is that if I tell everybody the thing I just learned, it's going to make it more complicated for me to make it successful. But like, that has its pros in training anyways. If they know that I'm trying to do this, well, I got to get better at doing it anyhow. It technically, yeah, probably makes it a little harder because they kind of know what you're trying to do, but it seems like it outweighs the negative to be like, I understand this. I really understand what I'm talking about now. And they understand it. And we can, maybe they see I didn't do part of the mechanics of a shot, and they can help correct me. So I'm just doing it better, faster. You don't have to have the secrets. I think it's just, whatever. Just information out there. Okay. I'll be quiet. I've talked a lot about this. It's very exciting.
I want to say something off that, because I saw everybody else nodding, so it's obvious everybody agrees with this. But I think there's a story from the old days that really shows it. Like back in the 90s, you would not teach. You would not share your ways. You would tell maybe your sparring partner, and you guys would talk, but you wouldn't talk with the global or with everyone around you. You would instead talk about what, how you're going to beat them and what they're doing, but you wouldn't tell them what you're doing. And we are so much better today than we were then, because everybody talks. We're always teaching. The whole pool is so much higher that it is fairly obvious what the right solution is to someone who lived through the 90s.
Absolutely.
So Mangdala Mang says, if you tell them what you're trying to work on, and you're worried about them countering what you're trying to do, just wait 5 minutes until they forget.
Yep.
I've said it before.
They won't remember.
The most brilliant thing somebody's ever said to me is like, okay, so amp guarders only remember the last thing you told them. Got it. It's so true.
Just tell them something else.
Horus, how can somebody be a better student for you?
It's when it comes to, I think that you've both kind of already said many of the things that I'd really say, but when it comes to like keeping an open mind, like when somebody says that, like really like listen to what they're saying. Like even if you don't agree with them, like why don't you agree with them? If something's not working for you, but it is working for them, why does it not work for you? Why does it work for them? You might be able to understand the concept better or gain something from it, even if it's not the thing that they were teaching you, because you understand what they were trying to teach you, why it works for them and why it doesn't work for you. So like many people would teach me to throw wraps over people, and I'm 5'8" and they're all 6'2", and it doesn't work the same way because I can't just walk up to people and slap them on the shoulder. But them teaching me that stuff then made it easier for me to eventually learn to do that because I started to learn why things were working for them. And so I think it's really important to listen and like think through your thoughts. I love teaching people the stuff that you just learned. Don't worry that you're going to do it wrong. It doesn't matter. You're first of all, they're going to forget. Second of all, somebody else is going to teach them. Everybody does this for years if they stick around. Like you're going to have so many opportunities to learn and practice the same thing. Just go tell somebody, because what you're also doing when you're doing that is you're actually working through it again. Like teaching is actually one of the best ways to learn and like put together the information in a different way. So that's such a good way to be a good student, is to regurgitate the information. I think that's why it helps to like write stuff down and take notes, is because you're basically regurgitating and like recombining that information for yourself on your pen and paper or however you're doing it. If you're going to take a video, like watch the video. Don't just take the video and then never look at it. Like it doesn't, it's just a tool to help. So, pay attention, be present, like be there, listen to what they're saying, try to understand it, give it a good try, and whatever they're doing, like try to imitate it exactly. Even if it's not what you eventually do, doing that like really helps you learn, like trying to like inhabit like that kind of thing that you're seeing out of the other person. Like that'll really, really help. So give it listen to what they're saying, give it a try exactly the way that they're saying it, and then iterate on it in a way that's going to work better for you. Especially if it doesn't work, that might teach you a lot more than it just immediately clicking. Like you might actually learn something further from that. It's just not necessarily going to be like you get to your destination by going A to B. It might be A, B, C, D, E, F, and on F, that's when you're like the flash of insight is there, and then you've learned something from your teacher that maybe it's what they're trying to teach you, maybe it's something even more valuable to your fighting journey and to your fighting career. And yeah, you never know what you're going to learn and who you're going to learn it from. So always just like be there, be listening, give it your all. Tanny?
Magdala Mang, who I suspect is Tisco. Could be.
No, that's Tato.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that
it's Tato.
Tato? Oh.
Magdala Mang.
Yeah, it's got to be Tato. I hope it's Tato.
Yeah.
Or someone's hijacked
Tato.
the account.
Oh, no worries. I think you have to review your video in a timely manner. It gets outdated if you come back to it in a month or two. 100% true. Could not agree more with that. Because you go back to her like, what the hell was I doing then? If it's a few months later. I feel if I want somebody to be a better student, number one thing, check the ego at the door. If you're especially if you're in a class with somebody, show the respect of at least hearing them out. And if you disagree with everything they say, that's fine. Keep it to yourself a bit. I'll get to pushing back in a second, but don't sit there with a scowl on your face or shaking your head or just being like, this fucking guy, right? Because especially at SKBC, but at SKBC, everybody teaching there is either a warlord or got some serious credentials in Belgarth. Like, I don't care if you think they're terrible or whatnot. I don't care if you think they're wrong. They've earned the right to your respect. And if somebody's teaching at a smaller event or something like that, there's a reason they're teaching that class. They've earned the right to your respect. So and on top of that, if they're telling the basics, if they're saying things that maybe you've already heard before or something like that, you being a detraction from the class, you shaking your head, you kind of being a dickhead about it, that's gonna affect the instructor, because they're gonna see you do that and they're gonna be like, oh, I must be really bad, or well, fuck this class, or something. And then the other people in that class, they're not gonna learn as much. You're dispiriting your instructor. You're taking away from the atmosphere of positivity and learning. So just check that ego at the door. Second thing I think is like, be vocal and advocate for yourself. If you don't understand something, don't say, oh, okay. Like say, I don't get that. Can you explain that in a different way? Can you show me that again? Right? And even maybe go back and say something like, I think I understand that. Are you doing this and this is why you're doing it? Just to check, because as an instructor, if you're seeing somebody, nodding their head or just kind of staring at you blankly, you might think like, all right, they get it, I think. Maybe, or maybe they're not listening. I don't know. That active listening, especially if somebody's not picking something up, that active listening is going to help the instructor be a better instructor, because they know, okay, I'm getting a lot of people telling me to re-explain this part, so I probably need to, explain that better next time. It's going to help your learning, because maybe they're not saying it in a way that you're going to pick up, and you ask for, you ask them to change it around. Now you're going to get it better, and it might help somebody else in the class who kind of doesn't get it, or maybe thinks they get it and they got it wrong. Parceling that out is going to help them pick up that learning on just a little better. The third thing, I think, is if you disagree with something the instructor's saying, time and place. Sometimes, especially if it's one-on-one instruction, I think it is fair to respectfully say something like, I'm not sure that I agree with you on that, and push back a little bit and say, can you maybe explain a little more the context behind what you're saying, explain your reasoning, or show me, and so, so then there could be some learnings that's coming out of that. Or maybe, maybe the instructor's like, yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense the way I'm saying it. Try this instead, again, time and place. If it's a class with lots of other students, don't sit there and push back on everything all the time, but, done respectfully. I think that there's a way to enhance, the student experience, to just push back and and get some context, or maybe have it explained in a different way. When I taught Middle Medu last year, I've told the story here before, but I'm going to tell it again because it's so good. The first thing I told them is like, okay, number one rule of Middle Medu is don't stab with the fucking Medu. And my students were like, what? And I was like, it's a threat. And if they ignore it, then you stab them with it. But the number one thing that I see all these people get killed with Middle Medu is they just want to get the stab, they just want to get the big noise, and they get killed in the process because they have their shield way out in front of them, pointed that way, trying to get the stab, and they're wide open. So that was, the students, and I love these guys, they're great, but they said, they said, well, we want to get the stab, and I'm trying to explain all this stuff, and I could just see them glazing over, and I said, okay, all right, motherfuckers, let's go. And I said, you and me, first to 10. And we fought first to 10, and I won 9-1. And he was kind of, he's kind of had a little humble look on his face. He's like, oh, yeah, okay. And I was like, now, how many times did I stab you with the Medu? And it's like that light clicked on in his head, and he goes, 0 times. I said, yeah. Because it's a threat, and I threatened you with it, and I scared you with it, and I killed you with my sword. So, and then it was like the light clicked on, and he understood what I was saying and all this stuff, and then he was slaying people with the Medu, later on in the ditch. So, push back, because then your instructor might surprise you and kind of show you that there's a different way of doing things. Any final thoughts on how to be a better student?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask why relentlessly. It's okay. Like, I know it drives some instructors nuts, and it drives me nuts. It drives everyone nuts. But like, it is all right to like, why, how, how did you hit me? Like at any time, if you're in the ditch and someone slays you with something slick, be like, what did you hit me with? It's okay. Like, there's no shame here. You already got, like, killed with the razzle dazzle. You might as well get the secrets while you're at it. And I'm like, well, how did you hit me with this crazy thing? You were like airborne, right? Like what was it? I don't understand. And everybody kind of wants to talk about it because it's cool, and most people will share this stuff so freely now. And you're going to gain hopefully something that like wasn't even in a class setting. Like you're just on the ditch. You're just out fighting, line fighting or whatever. You're just chilling, but somebody did something cool. Like, I want to know that. I want that so I can do that. I want to steal that. That's going to be my new secret technique to go punk my friends I'm playing against when you're out traveling. Like, oh my gosh, please do it. Like, ask why, bother us, message us later. Like, it's fine. Like, damn, people like it. It's just cool. Never be afraid. No, even at high skill levels, people still ask. Like, and it's a small, super short story. I was at Known World War a couple of years ago, and I got asked by Jay Lee, who's a very accomplished fighter in the Rogues, about how I was throwing a specific kind of underarm shot, and I got to talk about that, which was really exciting. And that's for anyone who knows, I'm a fairly high level dude doing this, and that was very flattering for even a high level person to ask the questions when they weren't sure exactly what I was doing mechanically. And it's knowledge gaining. Like, we all bring each other up with this cool stuff, so totally do it relentlessly. It's worth it.
And the one other thing I wanted to say is, when we're doing fighting, it's very holistic, and instructors may teach you the part that was hard for them or important for them of the whole process. So if you've hit a spot where what they're explaining doesn't make sense, look at the other things they're doing. If they talk through the shot but not the footwork, look at the footwork. Or if they talk through the shot and the footwork, but they didn't talk about the range, look at the range and see if you're doing the same way they are. Because it's such a holistic thing, if somebody is throwing a shot that you think ought to be able to work for you but it's not working for you, that's the things to bring into the conversation with them. And I agree with everything you guys said about how important it is to have the conversation with them, but it is very easy for us as instructors to teach the stuff that we think is important and hard because it was the stuff that was not working for us. Mm-hmm. But there may be another piece of it that was sort of naturally an outgrowth of our fighting style that we didn't have to do a lot of extra work on, that we're not teaching as in depth. So think about it holistically is always an important piece.
Yeah. I think I'd want to bring up too something you said, but there's no shame. Like, that's all you in your head. Like, first of all, no one's thinking about your sword fighting and how good you are at it unless you're really good, and they're just thinking, man, that guy's really good, I want to beat him. Like, or I don't want to fight him, he's going to beat me up. Like, there's no shame. Just go ask. Like, people want to share this stuff with you, and if they don't, they're probably a jerk and you don't want to talk to them anyway. Like, it doesn't matter. So just go ask, and like, have no shame about it. Wow. Just ask the questions and learn.
And at SKBC, jerk instructors do not get invited back. So hopefully we'll only have a very few jerk instructors at any given SKBC.
So our next topic, I'm going to set the stage for this. All right. So let's say I'm an up-and-coming fighter. Okay. I'm going to an event, not SKBC necessarily, just a random event. Okay. And my intention on going to this event, I know there's going to be some good fighters here. I want to maximize my learning and training at this event. Okay. So what do I do to make sure that I am learning as much as I can at this regular event, so that I can maximize my gains, maximize my learning, spar with the right people, pick the right things up from sparring, whatever makes the most sense. How do I maximize my training at an event? We're gonna kick off with Mhog, and I'm gonna hang a piss because I've been beast in this water and I gotta go.
Okay, so a lot of it's the same kind of stuff we talked about, but there's another piece that I think is really important if you're going to an event with the goal of maximizing how much skill building you do. You should think very hard about time management, because all of us have other things that we love to do at events too. But if our priority is to learn, then we've got to say, okay, less partying, or less helping out with the feast, or less whatever other things you would do, less socializing, less trying to set up dates, all the other things that you love about LARPs. You've got to think that through and make that part of your time management strategy, especially as you age. Now, hopefully a lot of y'all are still young and aren't having to face this yet. But as you get older, the time management becomes even more important, because maybe you can't go for 4 hours straight, right? Like, obviously reps are great, and I want to tell everybody to rep as much as they can, but you age, you get injured, then you can't go as often. So you've got to say, all right, I got to schedule these hours when I'm going to do this, and I've got to try and get these people. And I would do a lot of planning ahead of time, right? Knowing who's going to be at the event, who's going to have things that I'm going to want to compete with, I'm going to want to learn from, and go into it. Like, you don't have to just live by a plan, but you have to do some pre-planning and some time management if you really want to maximize. So that's a piece that we didn't talk about that I think is really important for that question.
Absolutely.
So you missed my little time management speech, but I think I'm done now.
No, that was good. I really enjoyed that when Charlie got up, when you went out the door on my screen, it froze on you like exiting the room. So I was there for a while. I was trying not to crack up watching it.
I heard the whole thing. I had my headphones on. Deathlilly, thoughts?
Yeah, maximizing training at an event for the up and comer, because it's so different at every stage of foam fighters' personal development, right? Like, if you're brand new, everything that you're doing is probably beneficial to you in some form or way. Like, oh man, I just talked to somebody who's, I'm a 6-month newbie. I just talked to the 2-year newbie, and I've learned so much. Like, they can gain a lot out of so many facets. And in some places, talking to someone who's wildly experienced it won't be detrimental to them, but they may just not be at the right skill level to understand the concepts and really put them into practice. A great teacher might be able to dumb it down enough for them to then understand and like whatever. But for myself, with going to so many SKBCs, I would go and take a class from, like the first year I'm there, and I'm like, okay, that was super cool. And then I'll take the same class again from like the same instructor the following year. And some of their content changes, sure, so I get new info, but they tell me the same thing they told me last year, and I understood it that year. So like the second year, I suddenly just understood it better than I did, because it wasn't at the skill level to get it at the time. Maybe I didn't know to ask the right questions. I may not even known what to ask yet, because it just wasn't developmentally there yet. And that can happen for a lot of people. So, but the up-and-comer who's kind of on their way, let's say, I'm trying to think, I think everybody understands like what that is, that plays the fighty stuff enough. My guess would be challenging yourself at an event. Let's just not say SKBC, but just going. You can find the best people to fight, or people that are similar in skill level, or because I'm sure you fought some of these people before, right? And you kind of, maybe you're chasing these rivals a little, and you're like, all right, I got them last event. Now it's been like 6 months. Let's see if I've picked up some new skills to try to fight them again. And you can start testing your skill set. Maybe they've changed their skill set, and you have these epic battles between people that are in a similar skill level. If you really want to push yourself, you can go find the absolute best people. But in my experience, if they're so far beyond your current skill level, it's hard to gain much if they can just one-shot you relentlessly, and you don't have the skill set yet to defend yourself from what they are doing. So it can be challenging if they are taking it serious. It doesn't mean that you still can't gain something if they are deciding to be a teacher, or if you ask them to teach you. So at that event, you can be pretty straightforward with what you're asking for from somebody who, would say, is the far beyond skill level opponent, and be like, hey, I would love to get some time with you. Doesn't have to be very much, like 5 minutes. And it would be excellent if we could fight a little, discuss, and then if you have anything for me, I would love to get that input. And a lot of times, again, everybody's pretty excited to teach and talk and like do whatever at every skill level. They don't have to be the tippy top person that's established yet in fighting. People just like to share what they're doing, what they learned. So like it can be really excellent to just put it out there. I would like this. If you just want a competitive set, my gosh, does it irk me if they don't tell me that we're doing that? Maybe that's a personal peeve, but being
no,
like,
it's
all
not
right,
a
man,
personal peeve. No, it is not.
it's time. We're throwing down. I'm like, I didn't know we were doing that. Okay. I guess we're
first to 10, motherfucker. It's you and me, and I'm like, I'm hungover. Why are we doing this now?
Yeah, I sort of embarrassed myself at Keep on the Borderlands with a Bell Dag player whose name eludes me now, because it was like all of the things that I really dislike about competitive fighting kind of thrown at me in an instant, one after the other, and I was then just super disinterested with the set, and then I was kind of an asshole in the set, and I'm generally not that big a dick, but I was kind of a dick, and I do feel bad about that. I can't remember if I apologized or not, and maybe you haven't, but there's video of it somewhere, and it's super embarrassing. But just be upfront. If you want a first to 10, that's pretty popular, then just say, hey, would you like to do a first to 10 with me? I would really like it. And a lot of times people will say yes or they'll say no. If you just want 5 minutes, odds are you might even get better content out of just saying, I would like to fight for 5 minutes with you, because it probably won't just be 5 minutes. It'll turn into 10 or 20. And now you've suddenly gotten your own little mini class from somebody who's really excited about fighting as well. So I know I've rambled about this. This is really, you could talk forever about it, but yeah, I'll be quiet now. I've got more, but please, somebody else.
I want to jump in. I want to jump in on that point. So, because that was one of the things I was going to talk about, is set up time with somebody in advance, or at least set up the possibility. Because you could ask somebody, hey, can I get a first to 10 with you, or can I get it? Can I get 5 minutes or whatever at the event coming up? And they might respond like, hey, I'm in a bad headspace. I don't want to promise that. Or they might say like, I'm injured, I'm not doing great, so I don't know, man. Or I'm here with my new girlfriend, I really want to make it about her. So they might have some reason that they don't necessarily want to be trapped in a first to 10. So that kind of gives them the respectful option of being able to say no. Also, like, as soon as I put the bird on, man, like, every time I go to an event, somebody's asking me to first to 10, like guaranteed. And sometimes, like, especially at Bell events, like, there are a lot of people who are trying to first to 10. So that's something to keep in mind too, is that you're not the only one. There might be several people that are asking this person to do a first to 10. So they got to work you in with everybody else. It's not to say that nobody's happy to do it. It's just keep in mind that, like, there has to be some balance and that kind of thing. The third thing is, and this happens a lot, is if you ask somebody if they want to do 5 minutes or whatever in advance, then it is your responsibility to create that time with them. So don't like hang back and just kind of stare longingly at them, waiting for them to say it's time. Go ask them and say, are you ready to do the first to 10, or are you ready to do 5 minutes? Because chances are that they're not going to remember. Because remember, this is your priority. It's not theirs. So they're probably not going to remember that they said yes to that. And the second thing is, like, if they say no, like, hey, I'm going to get some food or something, but I got you later. Ask them later, is now a good time? Because again, and I don't know if it's me because my brain's fucking Swiss cheese, or or it's everybody, but I'm just not going to remember. And so, just be persistent and respectfully, hey, is now a good time? Hey, is now a good time? And if they said yes, then, then at some point they will say, yes, now is a good time. Let's go. Let's do it. Anyway, I wanted to throw that in because it piggybacked on what you're saying, but,
yeah.
Horus, what are your thoughts? Maximizing training at an event.
First of all, surprise first attending someone is not maximizing your training at an event. It is pissing off the person that you're fighting, who did not know that you were trying to do something for like street cred or whatever, and no one that, like, they're just gonna find another time first attend you and crush you if you think that you're gonna, like, get them while they're hungover or while they're surprised or something. Like, that's a bad plan. Also, they're not gonna want to teach you stuff because you're pissing them off. Don't do that. If I really like what you said about like scheduling it with someone. Like, come and ask them like, hey, do you have time now? Um, that's really good. Like, it's an event. I don't even get to like talk to all the people I want to talk to in an event, even though I'm there for 3 days. Like, I spend so much time with people at events. It's amazing. I know over 100 people at every event, that like Belagarth event. There's no way I'm gonna get to spend quality time with everyone. I'm definitely not gonna remember that you asked me to spar and find you and then spar you. I would love to spar you. Just come ask like, hey, do you want to spar? Are you ready to do that sparring I asked you about? I'll be like, yes or no, and then give you a better time. Um, so just keep on it with people and like don't take it personally if you end up not doing it. If there's someone that you really, really, really want to spar at an event, make sure that like pick one person and make sure you fight that person, because if you want to fight like 10 people, like that's probably not a reasonable goal to maximize your training. Pick like one goal every event. If you did one goal every event and you end up going to 10 events a year, then you learn 10 things every fighting year. If you know 100 topics really well by the end of your fighting career, that's insane. And you'll probably learn a lot more than that, because when you, like everybody said, when you first start learning, you just like soak in knowledge like a sponge. Like, going and doing anything is learning. If you really want to maximize your training, some time management tips: go early to the fighting field when there's some super good sword fighter that just wants to fight all day and they're fresh and they're bored and they don't have anybody to fight them, and go fight them. You're going to get great fights. You're probably going to get a bunch of fights with them because they're fresh. No one else is coming to spar them, and all of the other people who want to spar them are not saying anything, hiding and not going and talking and just going and getting the fights in. So start of the day, great time. You can always go battle during the middle of the day. Nobody wants to be pulled off the field in the middle of the day if they're at a Belagarth event and there's like big battles going on and they like field fighting. Like, go find them at the start of the day, especially when it's right after weapons check and everybody's still filtering out of the field. It's a great time to fight people. Also, end of the day, those lunatics who like to fight until the very last like darkness is setting, who just will fight forever, like, go find them at the end of the day. They're probably running out of people to fight anyways, and the only thing that's stopping them from fighting more is running out of people to fight. Like, you're going to get great fights then, and that's also a really good time if you want to learn, like specifically get like a lesson, like have them show you something. That's the time. Nobody wants to really teach you at the start of the day when they're still getting into fighting. They want to get their good fights in. Like, that's the time to go. Be like, hey, do you want to do a first to 10? Like, I'll first to 10 you, and I'm warming up and want to get fighting. Yeah, sure. End of the day, 6 o'clock, and I want to go eat dinner so I can night fight. I absolutely do not want to spend time first attending, and you're making all my friends who are probably good fighters super mad because you made us late to dinner because they want to go eat, and like, you're not going to learn as much then. So time management is great, but like, pick the times when you're going to find like those fights. And then also, if you like, it just works out right, just do it then. Like, if you find that moment and it just is like the perfect moment, just do it, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how events are going to run out, like work out. So start of the day, end of the day, any time in the middle that just makes sense. You're both sitting on the sidelines, you're ready to go back in, but you're not quite like wanting to go on the field or whatever, or you don't want to do this battle game. Like, ask them to spar then after you've already talked a little bit. Like, that's the perfect time. Um, that's that's what I like to do. And then the final thing is like, I really want to harp on like, pick one, maybe two things. Like, do not try to fill your cup all the way with a million different things you're going to learn at an event and train all those things. You will not do any of them very well. Pick one or two that you're going to like really try the whole event. If it's one shot that you're going to do over and over, then you've used it a bunch on this guy, like, go do it on another guy until that first guy forgets, and then come back and do it to him later. Like, do like, focus on what you really want to learn and pick good times to find good fights.
I'm gonna burn through this through our schedule a little bit because I want to make sure we have enough time to pick classes. But real quick, any last thoughts on maximizing training at an event? All right. How to pick classes? So first, Mhog, you mentioned something about the history of SKBC, and I really didn't plan for that, but I think that's a good idea. You know, and for anybody not going to SKBC, you know, this information is applicable at any event where there's official classes being taught that you might have to decide whether or not to attend or pick. So, you know, even if you're not going, this is going to be some good info for you. Let's talk about briefly the history of SKBC, why SKBC exists, where it came from, etc.
So, SKBC was an idea of three old-time Colorado people, and I'm not one of them, by the way. They were driving around, and it's Leaf, who's passed on, and Sir Guy, who's a torch, who's still around occasionally, but is mostly retired, and Cedric, who moved on to Soft Touch LARPs, but he still runs Soft Touch LARPs. And they were driving around looking for event sites, and they just sort of batted around the idea of what about an event that just focuses on getting better at fighting. We won't do any battle games, we won't do any court or any feasts or any of that stuff. Give people simple food and teach battle gaming. And that's the genesis of the idea. The first one was basically Colorado people teaching mostly Colorado people. We went out of our way to invite 2 people from outside the Colorado area. One of them was Arthon, and the other was Spin. So we invited those 2 from Texas to come teach. And James said I had to mention the Boon Companion thing. So that came up because Arthon came up with Delos. And they were good friends of mine. And so the 3 of us just hung around that whole weekend. And we decided after that it was going to be fun, and we were going to travel the country, going to different events and seeing different things and fighting people we never met before, because it would be a great thing to do. And so we did that for a bunch of years, which is why we were sort of boon companions, because we would travel together nationwide. But the second SKBC was in Dallas, and Cedric ran that himself. And we realized trying to run an event in Dallas when you live in Colorado is insane and terrible. So after that, we started taking bids from anyone in the country who wanted to do it. And the first one was in 2001. We missed one for COVID, so you guys can do the math and tell how many we've done. It's been a lot, and they've mostly been pretty successful. We usually pull about 100 students and about 20 instructors, which means your classes are going to be in the, 4 to 10 person or students range usually. Sometimes the most popular instructors will max out at 20 students. Somebody mentioned in the class that it's really good to sign up for smaller classes because then you get more one-on-one time, which I agree with completely. And that factor alone keeps the classes from all maxing out at 20 with just the most popular instructors. But that's the history of SKBC, and it's still pretty unique as a teaching-only event. And it's been about 12 years now, or 13 years since we started inviting Belagarth instructors. As soon as we came across Belagarth and realized that the best people in that organization were just as good as the best people in our organization, we're like, well, there's no reason not to invite those people too. Aaron Peter DeQuick has been on the committee now for I think he's been on the committee for 10 or 15 years now. He's been on the committee for quite a while. And we still invite Bell instructors, Darkon instructors, Dagahir instructors. In Amp Guard, we require that people have the fighting awards as sort of a minimum qualification. In Bell or other organizations where those are less formalized, we sort of go more with the Are they a veteran? Do our Bell people think that they're good enough to teach? If so, we'll invite them and we'll see if we believe it. And we haven't been disappointed very often. Like usually, if our people say, yeah, this guy can come and provide value, then they can.
So as far as picking classes, what's some good, maybe either strategies or some top of mind ideas, some things to keep in mind? How should somebody decide to pick their classes for SKBC?
Well, it's a little bit like any time you'd pick classes, you want to read the names and the descriptions and see what things are interesting to you. In an especially online world, you want to read the instructors, and I don't recommend taking classes from the ones who are local to you because you can get their time much more easily. But if it's somebody you know who's not local, that can be a good reason to take it, especially if it's someone you know only from watching them online, not from actual interactions with them. That's a great opportunity to go get interactive time. The other thing that we've been doing at SKBC for maybe half its lifetime now is the last class period we do cards instead. And the way the cards work is you line up and pick cards, and you can only pick one card, and then you have to go use that card before you can come pick another. But that card entitles you to 15 minutes of time with any instructor to do what you would like. So to learn the things that you want to learn that you think they can teach you. So figuring that into your plan is a good thing to do, especially if somebody can teach something fairly specific or give you something fairly specific. Maybe you don't take that person's class and take another class that you're more interested in or that you're also interested in, and look to get that specific thing out of your card time. The other thing that I think is valuable is to think a little bit about how all the things are going to combine. To hit on the stuff that's my favorite, I might not take partners and small unit, even though I love teamwork classes the best, and even when I was more of a student, I did. But they do teach very similar skill sets. Like the difference with what you do in partners versus small unit, there are some real differences, but it's not that big. And I would think I would get more benefit in taking a style class or something more of an interesting elective and only taking one team's class. But again, if teams are your obsession, then there's no reason not to do that too.
Makes sense. Deathlilly, got anything to add on that?
Yeah, selecting classes, it's interesting, right? Because I think I was a student longer than an instructor so I'm catching up, but I'm not quite there yet. And there were plenty of times, and I've been around, I guess, now long enough to see the classes sort of change in the way that they're sort of structured. Like if you took a sword and shield class from an instructor, it was pretty much like it could be like the basics version of it if it's a basics, or like the advanced version. And that's interesting. It's really changed now into more like, hey, look, someone's teaching sword and shield. It's probably their perspective on sword and shield, so their flow, their touch, their style of it. And that's cool, right? Like it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for you because it's this individual's take. But when I was obsessed and wanted to just like, I need to be as good at this particular skill set as humanly possible, I would cram every board category from every instructor that was teaching one so that I could learn all of their perspectives on board and then steal the parts that worked for me, right? Build a game around the things that these guys liked and then try to change it to fit what I want to do as an individual to make it mine. Now you can't always do that because the classes have changed so much now. Like we've got the course pulled up here and there's tons of different stuff. So going into it, it's really deciding like, what will I do to maximize my personal goals? And if you decide, like, let's say you're really in a good place, like skill wise, and you're just like, oh, okay, I'm pretty good. I don't necessarily need more board classes. Then this is a great opportunity to take some classes. Maybe you'll pick something up learning about red weapon fighting that you may not have if you didn't have access to good instructors for that, or whatever. Maybe just some body mechanic stuff. Maybe a refresher course is good for you. So it's going to be all super deeply personalized to each individual and what you're trying to get out of the event. So taking a minute to sit down, look at the classes, like we kind of established, and then decide like, all right, this is what I want to do. And not to definitely discredit that class. I see 2 sword versus shield right now has 0 people signed up. That has 3 instructors. I might get 3 warlords / sword knights / badasses from all these games to just sit and hit me for 90 minutes or whatever the whole course time is now. And I've done it, and it's been great. You get a lot of good information, probably more than you can retain in that one class because you went for a small one. Doesn't mean the big one won't be good either. Like if it's a popular class, it's probably for some specific reason. Maybe it's the individual, or the content over the years has just been good content and kind of tried and true data.
Well, and I think there's another important point to make. If you're looking at these classes and you see an instructor you think can really be useful for you, especially if you've met that person or you have a contact for them, reach out and find out if it's their material. Because especially when we've got 3 instructors listed, when we built the schedule, we did our best guess on who was going to be most likely to have good material, and their name is listed first when we guessed right. But the instructors then go and talk after they're scheduled, and they may change up what we suggested. For example, I've got a opponent analysis that has my name on it along with Karai and Augustus, and as soon as they assigned that to me, I got on with Karai and Augustus. I know both of them. I like both of them, and I said, "Listen, I think one of you guys should probably work on the content for this." And they're like, "Well, we're in the same park. We'll just work on it." So I don't know whose material it's going to be, but it's going to be those two's material, not mine, even though my name is listed first. And this is the challenge with anything that's volunteer led. That doesn't necessarily get communicated and fixed on the website because we're sort of single threaded on who's going to fix the website and how. So that's just mine as an example, and there may easily be lots of others. So if you see a bunch of names and you're really only interested in one of those names, reach out and find out if it's their material.
Makes sense. Horus, as far as do you have any thoughts on or strategies in terms of picking classes, or do you have any questions that you want to ask?
I don't know. I've never picked a class. I actually kind of just want to ask questions as we do it. Like, what kind of things should I go for? Like, I have one thing to add. Keep in mind, especially if you can look up if you don't know who they are, look them up. Keep in mind the heights on some of these classes, because that could be important. If you're taking a sword and board class and it's all very tall people, and you're a very short person, it's not to say they can't teach you, because they can, but there might be just some misalignments or something like that. Same thing with the kind of style that that some of them have and you have. If there's just a huge mismatch, again, you're probably going to learn some stuff. You're probably going to get some good instruction, but it might not be optimized for you if your instructor just fights way differently than you do. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
I've got one small piece, and this is just from being when I was finally starting to get all right at the fighting thing. I definitely had some years I was just there to fight the instructors. I wasn't really worried about the coursework that they were going to teach, but I wanted to get as many fights with them as possible, because I got into the testing stage of, am I going to be able to hang with these dudes? And there are people that, and maybe that's too much ego, maybe it's not, I don't know, but some of it is part of the developmental journey, in my opinion, on well, maybe I'm ready for that final push into the awards part of, oh, okay, I can be a sword, not a sword knight, I guess in this case, but a warlord. Maybe I'm close to getting there, and it's not so much a hang up on what they have to teach me, but more it's the finishing school part. Can they just give me some critiques now? And that's kind of a weird, SKBC is kind of a weird place for it, because the 15-minute cards would be a good time to do that. But you're not always going to get every instructor that you want for that. The cards go fast on the popular dudes, and that part can be challenging. But the time that would be to give you the time to do it, or it's probably most optimal, not in the classes. But the pre-ditching and sparring and stuff that's going on, it is so worth your time to go in and do the stuff we kind of talked about earlier in the podcast here, and hit people up and be like, hey, do you have a few minutes? I need to steal 5 minutes with you. I just would love your input before we get into that. And that can be kind of the hardship of people that are really getting good and going into SKBC classes, because we do have to make content that can kind of help everybody at every skill level. And depending on how the class goes, if it's 9 very new players and 1 super experienced person, the super experienced person is probably going to be sort of bored, because it's going to get tailored a little bit to the new players, versus if I had a class of 9 extremely gifted people that are very good and 1 that wasn't so gifted, I'd be like, all right, you're going to play a little catch up, we'll try. But tailoring the class is kind of the thing. So anyways, don't be afraid if you go to this thing to go just test yourself against the other good fighters, and there's opportunities to do it. Classes are probably the time not to do it, I guess.
And that was an advantage of the older model, where we had more style classes, is we could move people around a little bit. And if we had one that had a lot of veterans and a single new player, we could move the single new player to a different class in the same style. The instructors are not as excited about teaching style classes, so we have less of them this year.
I want to. I'll do it. I'm down, man.
Well,
hook me up.
Did you ask to do it? Did Noah do you in?
I ask every year.
All right.
I'm gonna move us on.
Yeah, move us
on.
on.
All right.
We're gonna sign Horus up for classes. I'm logged with Horus right now.
All right.
So Horus, take it away. You tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And you've got 2 of the best people to ask questions to that exist. So let's do it.
Sweet. All right. So first, I guess I'll talk about my goals with classes as well. And I probably don't want to take classes with Peter and Tree Thump, because I'm going to fight Tree Thump tomorrow, and Peter I've learned a lot from already. But second of all,
probably not me either.
Yeah, that's true. I'm fine doing the style classes. I like fighting. I really would like to do 2 sword. I would like to do some sword and shield stuff, but I'm not so worried about actually doing the style classes themselves. I think that the things that I would gain the most from are I don't want to call them more advanced topics, but just feints, fakes, things like that. That's where I struggle more with than here's how you do these concepts that go with sword and shield or with 2 sword. Those are kind of things that I've been exposed to a lot. I might not necessarily be the best at them, but I really struggle to keep feints and fakes and that kind of stuff in my repertoire and think about them all the time. It's really easy for me to just get into the rote I do this attack pattern that works against the way that they're fighting, and just kind of grind out sets versus really think through them. And then so with the foundations thing, is that just everybody just sign up for the first one?
Yeah, and the foundations is it's a lot of it is terminology, making sure that we're all on the same page and talking the same language. So we make everybody take it to maximize what they get out of other classes.
Sweet. Let's take that one for sure. Is this a picture of yours, or is this a random Windows background?
That's my Windows background. I just have a random Windows background.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So based on what I heard you just say,
yeah,
I use my own experience and knowledge of what we've got, and we did not have a lot of people who are good at 2 sword who wanted to teach 2 sword this year. So that's the thing I looked at first, just because I know we were not as strong as we've been in the past on 2 sword. Especially when you've already gotten the material from Peter. He's one of the best, and he's happy to teach it. But when you're less interested in him, I did some looking, and I would kind of recommend day 2 slot 1 as something to think about if there's nothing else you're dying for there. Morpheus of Tal'Dorei is a pretty darn good teacher. Ryujin is too. They'll be the they'll be the one I'd recommend the most out of the two swords that are
Okay.
available. Madness Gry has not taught for us before. I've fought him, and he's good, but having not seen him teach, I'm in less of a hurry to recommend him. That's no shot at Madness Gry. I like him, and he definitely fights.
Yeah.
And Tisco and Tiberius, Tisco has a mountain of knowledge, but if you are not good at learning from Tisco, you've got that.
I actually love Tisco. I love learning from
But
Tisco too. That's actually probably why I would skip that one though. It's not because I don't like Tisco, but because I really like Tisco and I talk to Tisco.
Well, if you've already learned from Tisco, that's less important. But that class will be his. I know that'll be his material rather than Tiberius material. So that's what I would recommend for your two sword.
Yeah, I was thinking feints, fakes, and baits on the first slot.
That seems to make the most sense on the first.
Yeah, you said you wanted that. Two great instructors. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there, Lily.
No, that's good.
We'll have fun. It's a good class, and like it is. It's been a big responsibility class since that was always like Brett's class, and trying to fill that void is its own challenges. But I like to think creativity is extremely important, and never being too predictable. So you could hammer out the reps, kind of like you were saying, but in this case, I want to make you less predictable and harder to read at all times, so that it's always a pain in the ass to fight you. Like if they never know what you're doing, it's like the U.S. military. Who knows what on earth they're doing, and it's successful every time. So, or not every time, you know what I mean? Ha ha ha. Jokes aside. So it'll be a good class. We'll have a lot of content, and usually it's pretty full. And the more people we have, the more fun it can be, because it's very active kind of class. So lots of fighting to do.
Slot 3.
I love it.
Slot 3 feels like, so body mechanics and style analysis make the most sense for what you said your stated goals are. I'm teaching style analysis, so I can just dump all that on you afterwards. Body mechanics makes a lot of sense to me.
So I think body mechanics is probably the right one to do. That will be Belfil's material, and he's taught that several times. He has a different way of looking at it than our previous body mechanics instructors. That doesn't make it a bad way. I like his material pretty well. I think that's a good choice.
That makes sense.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I just noticed Peter's teaching that too. So you
so
get
there's
advice on that one.
That's a great class, I'm sure, for anyone who wants to take it. Like the Peter DeVrytanith class is probably sick, but that's like two of the people you're already very familiar with, right? So,
well, and there was a note in chat that the Belfil Magnus is two taller people, and the height does play into how Belfil teaches that class. Like that's not a lie. This is Magnus' first year teaching with us. He's my squire, and I love him to death, but I don't know what he's going to teach till I watch him do it, so I don't know. I don't have any comment other than I love him.
It's okay. I'm used to it. Everybody that's taught me has been taller than me. Actually, everyone, yeah, pretty much.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'8".
Oh, I'm 5'8". Yeah, we'll have a good time.
There's two Amir that are shorter than me. It's Bolton and my squire Elias. All of the other ones are taller than me.
So, Can you explain for people playing the home game what Valkyrie is?
Yeah, that's non-men's fighting.
Okay. And then slot 4 is different than the other slots.
That's correct. Slot 4 will be nighttime, and it will be mostly lecture classes. Very, very little actual fighting. All of these are going to be lecture and demo classes rather than as participatory, just because they're going to be after dark inside. And you can take any of them you want. They're all pretty good in their own different ways.
I feel like because you're more Bell, Tourney Fu might have some weird rubs there, because it's probably going to be Amp Guard centric Tourney Fu.
It is absolutely about winning tournaments. It's mostly my material, and it is not particularly amp guard based.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Okay, but it is absolutely about winning tournaments. The mental game class that Tato is teaching is going to be more general. I think more general mental game stuff and less directed to winning tournaments than the Tourney Fu class.
I actually think I want to do footwork theory. I like mental stuff, but I have shit feet, so.
Well, and I think that class is going to be a lot of Tisco's material, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Morpheus Stroke has fantastic footwork thoughts, but he is much more comfortable teaching one-on-one than teaching in a group setting. So I don't think it's going to be his material, very likely. And Belfield has taught footwork theory before, but he had less material when I watched him teach it. So I just think it's likely to be Tisco's material.
That's
but I don't
okay, I'm
know
done with that.
Sick.
So day 2, I think that was the one you want to do 2 sword.
Yeah, that's the 2 sword I recommended there.
I'm down. Let's do it.
The person in chat who said we need to come back to Texas, if we get a bid, we're not opposed to going back to Texas, but we need somebody who will run it for us. You can hit me up, or you can go to our website and read about the hosting and see if you can find somebody who would do that.
So in the last one, we've got injury management, kicking ass for decades, which is kind of another way of saying.
I absolutely love that class title.
Yeah. Let me translate that for the home version. That means fighting when you're old. And still fighting when you're old. That's probably the most important part.
Range control. So let's maybe break out reading setups and returns and shot creation. For people playing the home game, let's kind of explain what those two are.
So Jay, you want to talk about reading? Reading, that's yours.
So, well, and it's funny because shot creation, again, filling shoes for Anatole, who isn't in the teaching stuff. It retired now, right? So I would have been doing that class. I'm now doing reading setups and returns. There'll be some carryover, I assume, again, since I'm doing that class as well as fakes, feints, and baits. But it is still like technically like different content. Then there'll be some overlap, of course, just because I think all these things go hand in hand, and that's just like my teaching style. So here's the real secret about SKBC. If you decide that you liked a class and you can get into another class, you can just kind of go show up to any class, okay? Even if you didn't sign up for it, no one's kicking you out.
Yeah,
for showing up to the other class, okay? So it'll be good. It'll be fun. And I think the content is useful. I don't want to lead you to just like take my classes and things, because that's always silly. Because you can get a lot of experience just going to another instructor who you don't get exposure with. So if you already have one of mine, it could just be worthwhile to take shot creation instead. Now, Morpheus and I, who had been doing this the last like 3 years or 4 years, it's sort of turned into a creativity shot developmental course where, and now if Delos isn't going to lead it, which it probably is, I haven't talked to him now that he's the head instructor, so he'll put his own spin on it. But it should be getting the people in class generally to think about what they're doing, developing new shots, and like just the process of doing that and being successful with these new shots. In the past, it was 100% like, let's take your like 1%er, the shot that never works, we'll workshop it in class and try to make this crazy thing work. And it can be fun. Like that class is always generally entertaining. But if you're really trying to have a structured educational experience, and again, since I'm not leading it, I can't tell you specifically what to do this year. You may find more success finding a different class or whatever. Just, this one's a little bit, I don't know now. Like James is very, very smart. Delos has got very good content, always has, and it could end up being a really stellar class this year. I just can't speak to exactly what the content will be. So
yeah, I think given the fact that Delos is a professional coach, actual educational quality of that class is likely to go up, but the fun value might or might not. That would be my guess based on the change. But I agree with everything Jamie said. The change will be interesting.
So Celis Draylen says Horus Heresy is out there. It just needs a pirouette. That's phenomenal. I took
Oh man.
I took Jamie's shot creation class a few years ago, and I came up with the Uncle James in the shot creation class, and I still use it to this day. That's the one,
Shot
that's the one
creation.
where I move the sword into my shield hand and then stab people with it. To
I
this
hate
day, every time I do a 1 to 10 with somebody, I get them with it once, and they're like, "Oh, you fucker!" Like every time.
There's
It's
a
become
Belgar fighter who does that, who like has done that to me since like I was a 4-year fighter, and it drives me insane that it always works. Like I don't like it, just breaks my brain.
it has turned into 100%er. One time, 1 in 10, it's going to be 100%er. That thing's going to work, and that's kind of the fun. Is that class can be really, really just fun. I don't know if you're going to get a ton out of it educationally. You may get some wild shot like that, and like maybe that's worthwhile at the end of the event here now, where it's like, you know, this is just a breather from education, like overly educational stuff. We're going to just have some fun and goof around. But then again, with James being a coach, it could very much turn into, and that's not to say it's negative. That may be excellent for additional content for you. That's at least talking about reading setups and returns and shot creation, though. We're spending a lot of time on that.
I feel like in terms of goals, like either range control or tall versus short makes a lot of sense.
I don't really want to do tall versus short. Range control is interesting. I don't know. I'm actually kind of leaning towards shot creation now.
Yeah,
like normally, I'd just be like straight reading setups and returns, like without a thought. I would just click and go. But I think shot creation would be interesting.
Well, and that's good. Like I would love to steal you away for reading setups and returns, but getting another, like, worst case scenario, you could always just take my card, and we could just talk about the content for 15 minutes without any interruptions about it.
Uh-oh, I lost everybody. I thought we were going to get away with not losing everybody, but it happened. Oh, all right. You guys are back. I'm going to get you back on the stream.
We saw no interruption, but the stream definitely, we all crashed off of it.
Yep. I knew it was going to happen at least once. All right, everybody's back.
Yay.
Okay, so I just want to say a word about what Jamie said about the last section being a chance to just do fun things if you're interested in it. That's part of why team tactics is in the last slot. That is almost always one of the most fun classes because we do a lot more exercises. You get a chance to play with your friends, and there's nothing more fun than winning with your friends. So those of you who are listening and are interested in that, I looked, we're not teaching partners this year. I don't know why. We usually have lots of instructors who want to teach team classes, but we don't have partners. We've only got team tactics. So I recommend it for anybody. Not you, because you already got your goals in that, but I did want to get that plug in.
Heck yeah. And I feel like a definite goal for the shot creation class, we got to come up with a Horus Heresy. We have to.
Horus Heresy.
It's going to be so good.
It's going to be some kind of understab.
Oh,
it has to be a backstab.
I do have one more comment about teams. Now that I notice we don't have anybody enrolled, I will pull every instructor who's not teaching, so we will have 5v5s.
Heck yeah.
So
yeah, those turn into stellar. Like if you're the one student and everybody else is like a warlord, it's like, holy smokes, let's go. You know, like really an intense amount of fighting. I've loved that class in the past for sure.
And they also go out of their way to let you play the hero role sometimes. Like, sure, you're going to have to step up, but you get opportunities.
I want to thank both our guests for coming to the bench tonight. Michael Hammer of God, Deathlilly, Megatron, Sunshine. You guys have been fantastic. Really looking forward to hanging out with you guys at SKBC. We're gonna move on with the show, but again, thank you. And again, both of them agreed to do this like literally last minute since we had cancellation. So again, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you coming to the show.
Well, thank you all, and thank you everybody who's listening. It's great to get to talk about this thing.
Super duper fun. Loved being here. If anybody ever needs to hit me up or has questions, please do. I usually am pretty good about spending a lot of my free time on additional content, whether it be teaching shot stuff, especially from the coursework. Happy to do it. Love doing it.
So no bullshit. Jamie, one time I was like, Jamie, how do I throw this one shot? And he sent me like several videos. He got Morpheus over at his house, and they sent me several videos of how to set up this one shot that I asked about. I mean, I got like a whole class just emailed to me essentially. So like, that's no bullshit. He
I made him do it. I was like, yeah, I'm like, you got to come over. We got to do some content. I can't like do this one with the Pell. It'd be my pleasure, and giving back, I think, honors all the people who spent the time on me to try to help me be better at the foam wax. So if I can pay it forward, I'm going to do it. And I don't know if I need a disclaimer like SKBC. I'm not supposed to fight, but I'll sort it out. I'll figure something out. I'm injured, but we'll see what I can do. So no disappointments for my classes. I can still do the coursework. I swear. Promise.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what that does mean is during cards, y'all aren't allowed to tell him he's got to fight you for 15 minutes straight.
I'll get a ringer. Okay. It'll be fine, and I'll make fun of the ringer. It'll be fun at least. Okay. Anyways, we'll go. We'll let you guys have the rest of your fun. It was super cool. Thank you, everybody. You were the best.
Peace out, y'all. Thank you. Next week, or not next week, 2 weeks. What's next? We have got Sir Glass and Sir Gorg to talk about weapon construction.
Hell yeah.
So
I'm so excited for this one too.
We've got, Sir Gorg, who does Gorg's Armory, so we've got, a lot of people out there are using his stuff. So we're going to have some great content from him. Content's the word of the day, I think. Everybody's saying content today.
Yeah.
But then Glass is like the mad scientist, right? Like he is always coming up with wild stuff. So we're going to have two perspectives on weapon construction. So
he makes all of my swords too.
I make swords too, so we'll have three perspectives, I guess.
I do it with him. Like I kind of know what's going on, but it's crazy because I feel like at every event somebody's like, "Oh, like that sword, you did everything." I was like, "I didn't." I taped it and I like put stuff on, but like all of the technology he literally invented. So
I'm gonna plug the bench merch one more time. Let's you can get your Stein.
Hell yeah.
And you can get your shirt. The bench printed by me. If I don't move some merch, I might have to turn some ads back on. Sorry, y'all. Love y'all, but I gotta pay the bills. Oops. Anyway, thank you guys for joining the bench once again. We do it for y'all. Really appreciate you guys active in the chat. Any last words?
No, that was fun. This is a good one.
We're gonna play some Helldivers. That's the plan.
Hell yeah! I need to eat dinner though. I realized halfway through this that I forgot to eat dinner, and I was like, "Why am I so hungry?"
My girlfriend's bringing me food. I got myself all set up. That's all.
That's smart.
Until next time.
3-minute soup. It'll be great.
Be yourself. Don't hide. Peace.
Oh yeah.